Are you ready for UFC 307 this weekend? Are you sure you're ready? Because it's going down in Salt Lake City this weekend, and you can get in on all the action with my partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, all new customers who bet $5 can get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up using my promo code SONNEN. DraftKings, the crown is yours. That's $200 in bonus bets instantly after betting just $5. You can use your $200 in bonus bets to stay in on all the action. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun at DraftKings Daily Fantasy for a shot at winning cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers, use my promo code SONNEN. Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Right now, that's promo code SONNEN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Rakhmonov has a fight. Signed. Done. How do I know that? Rakhmonov told us. Ian Garry has a fight. Signed. Done. How do I know that? Ian Garry told us. Now, I don't think you have to be Kreskin to figure out two guys in the same weight class that have kind of been stumbling their way to each other, who have talked about each other in the media, both signed contracts on the same day, both released the idea that they signed contracts on the same day. It appears glaringly obvious they have signed to fight each other, right? Maybe not. I don't know if we have enough evidence, because 3 days later, Ian Garry made a piece mocking Colby Covington, who Ian Garry has been very vocal that he would like to fight, and Covington has been very vocal that he would like to fight Ian Garry, and that for the crowd seems to be the one people wanted, not to mention when one guy comes off the board, right, the dominoes sure do fall. If Garry was to be tied up with Colby in this scenario, that would leave Rakhmonov available, who many people believe should be fighting Blahal for the world championship anyway. So everything starts coming together. But it's a heck of a coincidence, and I do feel like you might look a little foolish if that's all the evidence you have, and you come out and you tell your audience that Garry and Rakhmonov are fighting. Now, let me, a little bit of how the sausage is made for you guys. The UFC is very big on, this is something that they really do believe, and it will bother them when it doesn't happen. They want to control and release information in their way. Whether that's a press conference, whether that's a headline, whether, hey, you owe a reporter a favor from something and you're going to give him a big scoop. Like, this is the business side of it. Maybe you're making packages and getting B-roll and you want to drop it right in the middle of a pay-per-view if you think it's a big enough fight, just for example. But big fight, little fight, any fight, the policy is all the same, which is you're going to have the information before somebody else. Don't do anything with it. Let us be the ones to tell. And you could end up the first fight of the night, or you could end up the main event. That policy never changes. Like, there's not a time the UFC goes, oh yeah, this fight doesn't matter. Do whatever you want with it. Never. It's the same policy. It's very consistent. And I share that with you. Rakhmonov over the weekend had come out, and he had said, we have a fight. It is signed. It is done. It's happening. We got a date. We got a venue. We've got an opponent. But I can't tell you who it is. The UFC will do that soon. And that's not as though the UFC approved that. The way they wanted it was say nothing, but fighters can't. Oh my God, they can't. It's a drug. It's a drug. You put something out on Twitter and all of a sudden people are writing you back. You're getting thumbs up. You're getting a little heart on the Instagram. It's one of these things. This becomes your contact with the outside world. And the contact for the attention of these people is you must give them something. So you give them the fact that you have something, even if you tell them, I can't tell you what it is, but I do have it. All right. And I share it just so you understand where these things come from. And really nobody's above it. Like, you can get a really stoic guy that has whipped everybody's ass that's ever come before him, like Rakhmonov. He can't avoid that temptation and didn't. Or you could take a guy that does enjoy the media and is a little bit more savvy and strategic with it and has also whipped everybody that came before him in Ian Garry. He, of course, can't control that temptation, and so he did it. But the mere fact that these guys both did it within the same 15-hour period, and they happen to be in the same weight class, and they happen to be undefeated, and they happen to be aligned through previous press and interviews, doesn't mean it's against each other. What would you make of, right? That's the piece of evidence I gave you, but now there's another one, so tell me what you would make of this. What do you make of Ian Garry recently coming after Colby? Because Ian has let us know that he does in fact have a fight. So, if it's not against Colby, that would be very weird. That would be very weird to start taking shots at a guy when Colby's free, Colby's available, but you're not. You know that you're not. You have a signed contract for somebody else. It's very different. You come and pull that on the world before the world knows that you know that it can't happen. You're the one that told the world it cannot happen. That would be weird. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. But as circumstantial evidence goes, it's relevant. Like if I would have left out the fact that Rakhmonov had done this, and I only came and I told you, Ian Garry has signed a fight, that's for sure. The announcement's coming soon. Ian Garry is heckling Colby Covington on social media. Boom, you'd have thought you were Perry Mason in the room and put them together, wouldn't you? And where it becomes more interesting, and in fairness, the most interesting, is of these beautiful names that just got mentioned, none of them were Belal Muhammad, the champion of the world. None of them. Ian Garry could draw into Belal right now. No question you can make that fight. Ian Garry is completely undefeated. Just let me stop you right there. Rankings and all these, let me stop you right there. He's never lost. He is younger. You can make that fight right now. Rakhmonov is a situation where, if not this one, the next one, it's not just you could make it, you should. Right, you're going to need one hell of an explanation as to how Rakhmonov is drawing into anybody other than the champion when he's got the most beautiful record in the industry. You would then still be left, right? You'd still be left. Like, let's say, okay, we go with that one. We put Ian Garry, we put Colby together, off we go. Maybe it'll even be the same card, so we've got that coveted backup fighter should we need it as a built-in mechanism, and we're going to put Belal, and he's going to take on Shavkat. And our dud of press conferences that we foresee are now problem that's solved because Colby Covington will be there. Okay, you've done a lot. I agree. Where's Kamaru Usman go? And right now, that is the great wild card of that weight class. That is the great wild card of two different weight classes. I have not been given totally clear to where I will accept it without a second look. I've not been given that information that Kamaru Usman is not going to go to 185 pounds. I just haven't. It appears he's coming to 70. It appears he's staying at 70. It appears there's less talk about 185 than there is at 70, but 70 isn't perfectly clear. Kamaru Usman to draw into Belal Muhammad, you could do. No problem. Belal Muhammad versus Shavkat, you could do no problem. The idea of getting Shavkat and Garry, two perfectly undefeated guys, and putting them there together, which doesn't elevate one, it eliminates one. I'm light on that idea. I think it's a coincidence. I think Shavkat Rakhmonov making the announcement that he's got something, showing us a bout agreement, and Ian Garry doing the exact same thing, only hours apart, I think it's a coincidence. And if Shavkat does in fact have a signed contract, and Bully B, who's no better or easier about not letting you know when he's got something, it would draw back into Usman, who is a veteran, who's been there, who's done that, who's had plenty of big announcements, and isn't going to be just like a child, like a petulant child, dying to tell you. So, we have some confusion, right? But you're also seeing some headlines. You're seeing people that are putting their necks out there, and they're making announcements of fights. What I'm here to announce is those aren't done yet, and they're not true. They might end up being accurate. They might, but they're not done yet, and they don't have information that we don't. And if you could only have the source of one of all of the top guys, if you could just have one source to then have to turn in right answers, you're best to choose Kamaru. What are they going to do with him, and where is he going to go? Because he could, as of right now, fight for the world championship. That's true. You get Rakhmonov one more victory, and he stays with all finishes and an unblemished record, you now are going to have a hard time selling anybody in front of him, an exponentially harder time selling the idea that anybody goes in front of him. So if you plan to use Usman at all in a championship scenario, the time is now. I mean, right now.